We're almost halfway through the season, we're flying high in the Premier League, flying high in the Champions League, but I think we need one more signing to try and get this West Ham team across the line this season. But as ever, if you're enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. So after a shaky start to our Premier League campaign this season, we've managed to drag ourselves up into the final Champions League spot of 4th, and now we sit just 3 points behind the current league leaders Liverpool. And after managing to get a fairly comfortable win away from home in the Champions League against Braga 2-0, we've managed to top our Champions League group and secure safe passage through to the round of 16. You would think this squad would be in a fairly decent position as we continue our progress into the second half of the season. However, it seems like we've hit our first roadblock as Savio, our 86 rated left midfielder, has started to knock on my door, claiming that he's not getting enough game time. Now, to be honest, I'm kind of a little bit surprised by that. He's already started 15 games in all competition, 13 of those coming in the Premier League, and he's chipped in with 5 goals and 3 assists so far this season. And if you compare that to the likes of Somerville, who's only appeared 9 times, Eze, who's appeared 20, and Mohamed Kudus, who's appeared 18, they're all kind of in the same ballpark figure for the types of players that can play in that position. Now, it does get me a little bit concerned because obviously, as you can see, he is one of the better players in the team and he is my 4th highest goal scorer so far this season. And obviously, with morale seemingly being in a decent spot, I don't really want something so small to potentially hinder what has been a fairly positive start to the first half of our season. So bearing in mind he still has 3.5 years left on his contract, I kind of want to prove to him that I am serious about his position in the team, and I kind of want to appease him to make sure that we can keep the status quo at the club as is. Now, obviously, he's a crucial player within the team and I want him to know that. I'm more than happy to extend his contract by 1 more year, and I'm more than happy to bump up his salary to try and reflect that newfound status as a West Ham United crucial player as well. He's more than happy to accept it, and I'm hoping that such a small gesture will do wonders for his morale and the morale of the rest of the team as the season continues. Speaking of contracts though, one person who only has 6 months remaining on his deal is this man Emerson. The 31-year-old Italian has been at the club since the very beginning of this career mode and has been a stalwart at left back, competing for a starting spot with this man Kieran Tierney. But with the Scotsman clearly establishing himself as our number 1 choice at left back, and with the Italian starting to enter the latter years of his professional career, and with him only being 79 rated and highly unlikely to improve any further, a big question has to be made as to his future at the club. Speaking of people's position at the club though, having only featured 9 times so far this season and just 3 times in the Premier League, this man Somerville has deemed himself very unhappy with his status at the club, and as such has submitted a transfer request. It's kind of disappointing because I actually think I've got some really good players, especially in these attacking areas, and so that is why, after some careful negotiation with the manager of RB Leipzig, I have managed to strike a deal for the young Dutchman that will see him leave in January to the German club for a fee of £39.1 million. And with that incoming fee to add to our current transfer budget of £66 million, it's looking likely I'm going to have 90 to spend in January on hopefully what will be a very exciting, forward-thinking player to fill the gap that Somerville will be leaving behind. I'll put a pin in this one for now, but we'll come back to it later on in the episode. However, with our bitter rivals Arsenal also searching for their first league title in over 2 decades, it is now time once again to put our title aspirations to the test as we face off against a team that are flying high in the Premier League as well as us this season. Once again, we're back in front of our home fans here at the London Stadium, and once again, we're going to be desperately seeking a much needed and what will be a phenomenally huge 3 points here today. And there's only going to be one change to my usual starting 11, and that is James Ward-Prowse coming back into the centre of midfield as he replaces Thuram, who drops to the bench after a series of pretty average performances. Diamande. Nice ball into Alvarez, but he loses it in a dangerous position, and now Arsenal starting off the better of the 2 teams here, with Kai Havertz to bring it forward, and no one is challenging the German whatsoever, and he's managed to find his way to the edge of the box, but Diamande once again is the man who put in the challenge at the right place at the right time. Now Jarrod Bowen will try and make his way forward. He does manage to just streak ahead of the defender, who tries to take him out on 2 separate occasions. He's got it back in the box though. It's Van Ewig, the right back, who was in the right place but couldn't find the back of the net. Another big save from Ramsdale. But it will be James Ward-Prowse who's going to take the resulting corner here inside the opening 10 minutes. West Ham have had the best opportunities of the game so far. It's headed clear though by Martinez. Savio, the young Brazilian, will pick it back up. James Ward-Prowse now on the left hand side. Can he try and find a ball into the box? He's managed to just muscle his way away from the challenge of the defenders, loops it into the back post. Ramsdale punches it away. Perhaps it would have been easier for him to strike it, but Savio into Jarrod Bowen, and Jarrod Bowen and the back post to just knock it past the Arsenal goalkeeper, and it does look like somehow the young man has kept himself onside, and once again he pops up with a huge goal against our arch rivals. Well, he scored in the FA Cup, and he's gone and done the exact same thing here today in the Premier League. Savio actually went for goal, it must be said, but it fell very kindly to Jarrod Bowen, who once again again finds himself in the right place at the right time to nod us into a 1-goal lead here at the London Stadium. Well, we've got 22 minutes on the clock so far. Arsenal at the moment yet to really threaten my goal, and once again we find ourselves in the final third here, trying to see if we can find our way into the box as Van Eyck cuts it back, this time into the big Swede. Ramsdale forced into another big save. And once again, of course, it will be the main man, James Ward-Prowse, to take the resulting corner, flings it into the box. It's beaten away once again by the goalkeeper. Savio will pick it up, almost taken out by the Arsenal defenders. James Ward-Prowse to float it back in, once again looking for the back post, headed away by Gabriel, I believe it was. Gabby Jesus out to Diamande. He keeps the ball alive here for West Ham. It's been a really good start here in the opening 30 minutes as James Ward-Prowse now tries to drive his way past the left-hand side. Savio into the box, into Jarrod Bowen. Gabriel blocked again. That man has been very good at the back so far, but James Ward-Prowse tries to nod it down. It looks like we've just strayed offside. It's Saka for Arsenal in his first foray into our half, and it doesn't last particularly long as James Ward-Prowse wins the ball back and plays a delightful ball into Kieran Tierney against his former club. Almost came back to haunt them, as did the big Swede Gyökeres, but he couldn't find his way into the back of the net once again. Ramsdale is keeping this Arsenal team in this game at the moment. Somehow it still remains 1-0 as James Ward-Prowse floats it back in once again. Diamande tries to get his head up. This time it's Alvarez on the volley. Doesn't manage to get through a clear body of players here as Savio now will try and see if he can sprint his way out to the right hand side and try and see if he can find an opening to fire a ball back into the box. He does, falls into Kudos' eye, puts it over the bar. How did he miss from that angle? I thought it was there for the taking, and he ballooned it over the bar with the side of his foot. I cannot believe it's still 1-0. Well, we've absolutely battered the Arsenal goal in the opening 45 minutes, but so far we only have one goal to show for it, and in such an important game and such a tight affair, that is really not what we need to secure our spot and secure 3 points here today. We've got to make sure that we don't allow Arsenal back into this game here in the second half. Estupiñán for Arsenal to bring it away down the left-hand side. Trossard now into Declan Rice. Lovely little reverse ball back into Trossard now, and the Belgian can try and streak his way down this right-hand side. Diamande comes across, doesn't do enough to challenge him. It's floated back into the box to Kai Havertz. It's Mere who's forced into his first save of the game, but Arsenal starting with much better intent here than they did in the first. Kudos into Jarrod Bowen, who's come deep to try and collect the ball, and he's wriggled around. Couple of challenges, found it back into the big Swede Gyökeres, lays it back into the overlapping rod of Van Eyck. This is a really, really good piece of attacking play here. Van Eyck into the back post, looking for Savio, and fresh off his new contract, Savio is on hand to give us a 2-goal lead here at the London Stadium. Well, it seems like a stroke of managerial genius as Savio, full of morale and a confidence boost, has popped up in the back post, unmarked, to give us a 2-0 lead at the most pivotal moment in this game. Eze on as a substitute wins the ball back in a really good position. Van Eyck now. Diamande floats it right the way across into the former Arsenal man Kieran Tierney, and we look like we're going to potentially add a third here as Tierney throws it into the back post to Vikas on as a substitute with an almighty diving header that sails over the crossbar. Odegaard. Lovely little pass into Nketiah on as a substitute. Berardi picks it up in the centre of the park and once again gives it to that man Odegaard. That's a beautiful ball through into Nketiah. Mere forced into another smart save. Well, there's about 12 minutes remaining on the clock here for Arsenal, trying to see if they can find a way back into this game, but Alvarez wins it back from Saka in a really good position, and now the Brazilian Savio can use that pace to try and see if he can burst away from Martinez, who looks like he's absolutely dead on his feet. The Brazilian into the box here. Can he find a ball across? Yes, he can. Duvikas finally gets his goal, and West Ham United lead Arsenal Football Club here at the London Stadium 3-0. Well, the Greek has had his chances in several games and he has not taken them, but finally he breaks his duck and finally he gets his chance to show what he can do in front of the West Ham fans. It all came from the pace of Savio once again down this left-hand side, and he laid it on a plate for Duvikas, who within the 6-yard box could not miss from there. Fired it into an empty net. It's 3-0. And as the referee blows his whistle for full time to bring an end on what has been an absolutely electric game here at the London Stadium. At full time it finishes West Ham 3, Arsenal 0. And with that victory lifting us right up to top spot in the Premier League for the first time this season, has that 3 points really cemented our place as genuine Premier League title contenders this season? It's wonderful to finally see Tassos Duvikas finally get on the score sheet, having run himself into the ground but have no luck in front of goal so far this season. And it's wonderful to see just how much of an impact that new contract has had on this man Savio. It's boosted his morale and his performance, and a goal and an assist for the Brazilian in a fine performance. And after getting a hard-fought victory away from home against Aston Villa 1-0, getting a point against another title rival 3-3 against City, beating Bournemouth 2-1, and starting our defence of the FA Cup off with a 2-1 victory against Bolton, it seems like this squad is flying high. We're leading the chasing pack by 1 point in the Premier League, but with Summerville's departure to RB Leipzig, leaving Eze as the only man who can provide provide competition to the likes of Savio and Mohamed Kudus in midfield behind the strikers. Once again, we're going to be turning to this ever-growing shortlist of attack-minded players to try and see if we can find the best option for West Ham United, and I think I've stumbled across someone who has very recently been suggested to me. He's a young man whom big things were once expected of him at AC Milan, and now with him currently really doing well out on loan at Atalanta in Serie A, and somehow finding himself plying his trade on this career mode at Crystal Palace, he is eager to move to the other side of London and to continue his career in the Premier League, but this time at the other end of the table, fighting for Champions League and Premier League glory, as we welcome Charles De Ketelaere to West Ham United for almost £50 million. At 84 rated and just 24 years of age, he's got that something special, and he is a step up from Somerville. It looks like he's got some fantastic stats right across the board, and once again, so long as he's got the right training and development plan, I think we have a potential superstar on our hands who not only can play in that central attacking midfield position, but also can provide some stiff competition to the likes of Jared Bowen, to the likes of Victor Gyökeres and Duvikas up front as well. And he is going to get his opportunity to impress right away as we head back to the Premier League, more specifically to the City Ground, to face off once again against Nottingham Forest, as he will come in the starting 11 in place of Kudus, who drops to the bench, as well as James Ward-Prowse, who also retains his place in midfield ahead of Thuram. So it's Van Ewig who's going to try and start us off here in the opening 10 minutes of the first half, as Tierney brings it down the left-hand side into Savio, who comes central, tries to dance his way around a couple of challenges, doesn't do enough though, and Elanga wins it for Nottingham Forest, and now Denki can try and bring it forward and plays a wonderful ball into the channel to the former Manchester United man, who manages to get away from Hanko, but fires in a pretty poor cross, and it bounces off Hudson-Odoi for a goal kick. 15 minutes on the clock though, and we are going to get our first corner of the game, and of course who else but is it going to be than James Ward-Prowse to take it, floats it into the box, looking for Diamande, loops his header over the bar, and so it's Van Ewig on the right hand side once again to try and bring this one into the Nottingham Forest half here. Alvarez now looking for De Ketelaere, who's been a pretty peripheral figure so far in this game, as he tries to see if he can ease his way into a West Ham shirt here on his debut, and he fires it into Gyökeres. Almost had an assist inside the opening 21 minutes, but Gyökeres couldn't find the back of the net. It was a very good stop by the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper, as James Ward-Prowse is on hand to hopefully take his second corner of the game, floated into the edge of the 6-yard box, headed away though. Jared Bowen will try and get on the loose ball. De Ketelaere from distance drags it wide. Salazar now for Nottingham Forest, bursts down the left hand side, lovely ball into Denke, who balloons his strike over the bar. That was arguably the best chance of the entire game, and one that I'm very thankful they weren't able to take. James Ward-Prowse tussling with Morgan Gibbs-White and managed to get the better of him, and Victor Gyökeres now to try and loop it over to Savio. It's a lovely ball. The Brazilian should have played it into Jared Bowen, but he couldn't find it. It was really good defending from McKenna. Denke now for Forest. Diamande came in with a crunching challenge but couldn't win the ball. Elanga still has it. This time it's James Ward-Prowse in the right place at the right time, but still we cannot get it back off the Nottingham Forest players. Elanga now tries to see if he can find a way into the box, but goes out wide to Vanganaman, and he seems like he's offside. No, he's not. Plays it into Denke, and for the second time in this game, Denke balloons a wonderful opportunity high and over the bar. What on earth is he doing in front of goal? James Ward-Prowse, nice through ball into Victor Gyökeres, who's been fairly quiet so far in this game, but Kieran Tierney's picked it up inside the box now, looking for the cutback, couldn't quite find Victor Gyökeres again. Well, it's 0-0 here at the start of the second half. Charles De Ketelaere hasn't had the best opening 45 minutes in a West Ham United shirt. I've got to hope for much better from him and the rest of the team here as we try and see if we can break the deadlock. Alvarez wins it back in midfield. Kieran Tierney out to Hanko, floats it out to Van Ewig on the right hand side, who's picked up a really nice pocket of space, and can he thread a ball through into Jared Bowen? Yes he can. The Englishman trying to see if he can find a spot in the penalty area. He manages to find a ball across, but it's too close to the goalkeeper. James Ward-Prowse once again into Alvarez. Alvarez into De Ketelaere. De Ketelaere is going to look for a ball forward into Gyökeres, and it's off the post and in, and West Ham United finally have the breakthrough, and it is Charles De Ketelaere who is the assist maker on his debut. Well, I've got to be honest, he's not really touched the ball all too many times so far in this game, but when he has looked very lively. He almost had an assist in the first half for Gyökeres. This time the big Swede does make it happen, and it's a wonderful finish off the post. The keeper just couldn't get a hand on it. I don't care one bit. We finally take the lead here at the City Ground, 1-0. It's Yates into Denke once again, who has been heavily involved so far in this game but hasn't managed to find his shooting boots. Hanko though manages to get his body across from Morgan Gibbs-White and win the ball back in a really good position. Now it's played into Victor Gyökeres, of course full of confidence, manages to wriggle away from a couple of challenges into Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen to make it 2. He does make it 2, and this time it's in off the other post. Jared Bowen, in the space of about 5 minutes, has doubled our lead here. Well, we go from one end of the field to the other, and once again it is Victor Gyökeres who is involved, but this time it's Jared Bowen who's on hand to just slide a strike past the goalkeeper, off the left-hand post this time. He doubles our lead and gives us a 2-goal cushion. It's sharp to bring this one out of defence for Nottingham Forest. They've got just under 10 minutes remaining on the clock here to try and see if they can find a way back into this game, because at the moment it looks like it is slipping away from them as McKenna under all sorts of pressure there. Yates ends up giving the ball away to James Ward-Prowse, and now we try and see if we can burst forward here in search of our third goal to put this game to bed. Savio across into James Ward-Prowse, who manages to keep the ball alive and just runs it out of play. It doesn't matter though, because the referee has called time on another positive West Ham United performance. It's our second played game of the episode, it's our second victory and our second clean sheet. And at full time here it finishes Nottingham Forest 0, West Ham 2. De Ketelaere showing immediately what he can bring to the West Ham United shirt. And who knows, maybe he can form a lethal partnership with this man Victor Gyökeres. One man though who I do have to single out for some praise is this man James Ward-Prowse. With the arrival of Khephren Thuram in the summer for big money, it looked like a certainty that he was going to come in and take his place in the starting 11, but there is just no stopping James Ward-Prowse. Every single hurdle that is put in his way, he seems to overcome, and once again, he's finding himself back in the starting 11, taking back his captaincy from Alvarez. This man is such a huge figure here at West Ham United, and with the club really starting to get into his groove now, knocking Bristol City out of the FA Cup 4-0, getting another 3 points, 2-0 against Brighton, managing to get a point in a tough fixture away from home against our arch-rival Spurs, and getting back-to-back victories, 3-1 against Crystal Palace, and 2-1 away from home against Leeds United. Premier League glory is inching ever closer. Yes, we are now only 2 points ahead of Liverpool in second place, but we are still locked in top, and that is exactly where we want to be at this point of the season. But we're about to find something out that could derail the remainder of the campaign, as after securing top spot in the group stage of the Champions League, we have been drawn in a titanic clash in the round of 16 against the German giants Bayern Munich. It's not the kind of fixture I expected to get after successfully navigating our way through the group stage. However, if you want to win the big competitions, you have to face off against the big players, and they come no bigger than the German giants Bayern Munich. It's our first time playing against them in this career mode, and we've got to hope in the first leg we try and put ourselves in a positive position. And our starting 11 for such a big game looks as follows: Meret in goal, Van Eyck, Diamande, Hanko, Tierney at the back, James Ward-Prowse and Alvarez in midfield, Kudos, Savio, Gyökeres and Jarrod Bowen up front. And it will be that man Alvarez to play it through into James Ward-Prowse, who's picked up a really nice pocket of space, but he's just taken out there by Tuchemeni, and just shows you cannot dawdle on the ball at this level. But Kieran Tierney with a thumping challenge on Leroy Sané, wins it back now and gives it to that man Alvarez into Gyökeres, the big Swede, who I'm sure will be eager to put on a clinic here in his first time playing in the Champions League for West Ham United, and he just drags it wide. Well, a really good start to the game here in the opening 10 minutes, really threatening Bayern Munich's goal here, but have we just awoken the beast here as Harry Kane, now the former Spurs man, oh how I'm sure he will be desperate to put in a good performance against Tottenham's rivals here, and now gets the ball in the box, but doesn't manage to keep it in play. Savio down the left-hand side into James Ward-Prowse to try and bring it forward. He's under a lot of pressure here, but he has managed to get away from the challenge and feeds it into Gyökeres on his right. Gyökeres from distance forces the goalkeeper into a save there. Did he have a little bit more time to try and take advantage of? In the end though, Kudos with a bit of a clumsy challenge gives away a free kick. It's Kudos now trying to wriggle away from a couple of challenges, and he's dinked a lovely ball over into Van Eyck. Really nicely done, and Van Eyck plays it across. I was looking for Gyökeres, who just seemed to just move out of the way. The goalkeeper made a right hash of it. Jarrod Bowen couldn't quite get on the end of it, but we have managed to keep the ball alive here with Alvarez. Alvarez shifting away, shifting straight into Tuchemeni, but Savio keeps the ball alive. Jarrod Bowen now out to Kudos. Kudos floats it back in. Upamecano with the header. A West Ham corner. Well, 30 minutes into this game, and we have not looked phased at all at the big occasion here. We've been the better of the two teams, and so far we look like the more likely to score, but not with corners like that we won't, as it's headed clear easily by Bayern Munich. Lima now. Nice ball into Tuchemeni into the centre of the park. Leroy Sané out to Harry Kane, and now Musiala on the right hand side picks it up, manages to dance his way past Hanko. Harry Kane though cannot do enough to get past Diamande, who's been an absolute rock here in season 3. What an inspired signing he is starting to prove to be after a bit of a shaky start. It's Musiala now for Bayern Munich. Lovely ball into Harry Kane, even better one into Kingsley Coman, and they've completely and utterly ripped my defence to shreds, and Bayern Munich take the lead here right on the stroke of half time. Well, it was Musiala with a delightful ball through into Harry Kane, and look at that for a one-touch layup. I thought he was going to shoot, but he had the wherewithal to pick out an unmarked player in Kingsley Coman, who was not going to miss from there. Bayern Munich take the lead 1-0. Well, if you make mistakes in defence, you will be punished at the highest level, and Bayern Munich have shown that ruthlessness in front of goal that we are yet to show so far in this first half. And as we begin the second, we've got to make sure that we learn from our mistakes and we take advantage of any opportunity that we have in front of goal, because if we don't, this tie will slowly slip away from us as Musiala now tries to drive forward as Munich try and see if they can add a second to their tally here. Kingsley Coman being chased down by Milan Van Ewig. It's Nuno Mendes now into Paulinho, the former man who used to play for Fulham, to Chemeni. It's Upamecano now for Bayern Munich into Leroy Sané. Been really good starts to this second half, but we've won the ball back in a really good position. And now Savio can try and see if he can use that pace down this left-hand side. He's managed to get away from Conrad Lima. Can he get away from Upamecano? No, he can't. It's Alvarez now. Plays it out to the right-hand side. Really nice ball into Milan Van Ewig. He's going to try and see if he can go past the left-back here. Flows it into the box. It was a really good ball, but I didn't read it well enough. And it's once again an opportunity that's gone begging. Well, with James Ward-Prowse and Mohamed Kudus struggling, I'm going to try and see if I can bring on some European experience. I'm turning to De Ketelaere and Thuram to try and see if they can ignite some sort of creativity into this attack. Nuno Mendes out to Martinelli, the former Arsenal man, plays it into Musiala, but it's a good challenge there by Milan Van Ewig. And now Alvarez can bring it forward into Savio. Oh, I was trying to see if I can find the run of Gyökeres, who was making a great one, but it was really well intercepted. But now Kieran Tierney's making an even better one. He can try and play it across into Jared Bowen, who had the chance, but it was well blocked off by the defence. But De Ketelaere, picks up the loose ball once again, drives out to the right-hand side to try and see if he can get some width into this attack. Jared Bowen has the chance to play it across. It's blocked off, falls into the arms of the goalkeeper. Tierney now into Thuram. Thuram round the corner into Savio. Savio's picked it up. Can he try and thread a ball through? No, he can't. Upamecano is on hand to block, and that Bayern Munich defence have been so stubborn, to say the least, here today. Nuno Mendes down the channel into Musiala on the left-hand side. Oh, how much Bayern Munich would love to add a second here to try and see if they can really put themselves in a positive position heading into the second leg. But Mary with a huge save that could really do wonders for our Champions League campaign. It's just a matter of minutes, moments remaining in this game for us to try and see if we can find a way back into it. But at the moment, it's Bayern Munich once again who have possession, and we just have to make sure that we keep it at 1-1 as the referee blows for full time. Well, it's not the result I wanted. Obviously, I wanted to come here and win, but only losing 1-0, to be fair, I will take at this point in time. It still keeps us in the tie heading into the second leg, and it still very much keeps our Champions League dream alive. 1-0 Bayern Munich at full time. It does go to show that there are levels to this competition. We just couldn't seem to find the back of the net. We couldn't quite have that composure in front of goal. And whilst Victor Gyökeres and Jared Bowen have been absolutely lighting up the Premier League so far this campaign, they couldn't quite find their goal-scoring boots in the Champions League when I needed them to. But unfortunately, that is where we're going to bring this episode to an end. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Thank you everyone for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again next time.